Hello and welcome to Upload,
a podcast by those who upload for those who want to.
or who already do.
And anyone else for that matter.
My name is Lionheart and I've been creating content for over a decade.
And my name's Midgeman and I've been trying to create content for almost a decade.
Together with some of our friends and fellow content creators, we're going to be exploring the great big world of content creation.
We'll be looking into the serious topics that face content creators today.
Because if someone said that to me like in person, or said that kind of stuff to me, you know, IRL, I wouldn't take it. So why would I take it like online? Why would I hide aspects of sort of my identity?
As well as some less serious topics.
I've been blindsided by the fact that one of your old live streams is called Suck My Missile for like the last
Sorry,
10
what?
minutes.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Upload.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Upload, the podcast by people who upload for people who want to and everyone in between. My name is Midgeman.
And I'm Lionheart.
And today we have an interesting topic because it's going to be fan submitted. But before we get on, we have a few things to cover. And that is, remember, please, if you haven't already, given this a like, a subscribe, a updoot, a review, a
Sorry, what's an updoot?
I don't know.
What's that?
Updoot, I think, is like a weird internet speak for like
Updoot.
a Reddit upvote. I think it's an updoot. Updoot.
I thought he was like going for like a pingu, like updoot, like newt newt.
A newt newt, yes. Give us your newt newts. Give us.
We're going to get some weird emails and attachments now.
It's just
all
going to be
available at the email.
all Pinku Rule 34. But yes,
no.
leave us. No,
Why?
Pingu is a child. Christ. Hello and welcome to the podcast. Yeah, so please remember to review and rate us wherever you can. If you want a video version, there's going to be a video version on both YouTube and on Spotify and a few other platforms, but those are going to be the main locations for those. And if you do want to get in touch with us, please either leave a comment via the reviews or you can email us at hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk. Lion, you don't know what we're doing today. So
I have no idea.
I've got to get.
But it's
like,
already
right
a cursed
on.
episode.
It's such a cursed epised. It is such a cursed. We've got to interview someone after this as well.
No.
Just as a note as well, like again, we've mentioned it. We're recording these out of sequence because we are just trying to smash as many of them as we can because Lady Lionheart and Lionheart are expecting cup number 2 and we're on a time crunch. Havoc is being interviewed after this, and he's going to walk into probably some of the most cursed energy. I could already feel it. He's going to come in. He's going to be coming in at 4 a.m. his time, and it'll be just like, what?
I think he's just bringing more chaotic energy at a 4 a.m. podcast call.
Hopefully.
I'm surprised he said yes, and it just wasn't immediately
Same.
like, oh, hell no.
He was up for coming in at 3 at this time until he realized he didn't need to be there for all of it. It was like...
Dude's like my hero now, considering he's got like 3 kids, I want to say.
I thought he was 4 with...
4, maybe? Is he 4? Like...
We'll find out. I think that'll be a question for the podcast.
And he's like, yeah, 3:30 sounds great. I'm like, why?
Okay, so today's podcast topic and question come from an individual by the name of... I'm gonna say it's Simone. Because it's Simon E. Pelotti and goes by the handle Pullets. They've asked the question. I'm sorry for wrecking your name. I think that's a streamer curse thing that
we can't pronounce
we can't
names.
say any name, even if it was John Smith. It'd be hello, Jahone Smooth.
Although I feel like you did the typical like creator streamer thing of you had their name, which was difficult, and then you had a way out, which was just use their handle, and you were still like, I'm gonna do the full thing just to really like. I could save myself here, but I've commit. Oh no, I'm in the like. You can feel your brain going, you've done it now. You've got to commit to it. Like keep struggling through that word, and then also the worst thing is in about 5 minutes you'll be like, oh crap, it's that. And you'll be like, that's really basic. My brain can understand that. Why didn't I understand that 5 minutes ago?
They've submitted a really, really important question, which I think is a really good topic for just the whole episode. And they've asked, what is the minimum equipment quality you would suggest to someone wanting to begin their journey as a content creator? I have a laptop, but it's not too powerful. I can play everything I want. I might just need to lower the graphic settings and would use a headset microphone in the beginning. Would I need to invest in some equipment before starting out, or could it work in the beginning?
Are we going to have a segue now to like mine and your first ever videos of like just trash quality? Weirdly, you know how in a previous episode, dream sequence, you were like kind of stalking my original videos. I actually last night was weirdly on my channel, as I do, and I went, let's look at the old video. I think it's because I know that at the time of recording this, I am approaching 15 years of creating videos since my first upload. I think it's like the 15th of April. And I was like, yeah, let's give the old first video a rewatch. And then just the cringe fest appeared, because I'm just like, oh God, like this. To be fair though, I will say that first headset microphone sounds crisp AF compared to how it could have done. I can hear that obviously in that first video, I think I was recording the game sound through the headset microphone, hearing it through the speaker cups, because it sounds really like echoey and like not properly recorded. It sounds like I've got the headset like this almost with the microphone up like that, and maybe I'm just recording it through the speakers as well at the same time. To come back to that excellent question, I mean, when we first started, it was almost like the Wild West of there were no rules or like standards to really aim for, because either the software didn't properly exist yet, or the only kind of hardware that kind of existed was essentially like audio professional stuff that would be in the music industry or in radio. Okay, yeah, there were a few separate individual bits coming out. Which content creator, to be fair, hasn't heard of the Blue Yeti as like the starter pack microphone bundle that people would often do? And I think most creators at some point that have been around about for probably like 10 plus years have at some point either considered getting a Yeti, have got a Yeti, or have got a similar product within that lineup.
I actually have a small story about the Blue Yeti. I vehemently, for a long time, as an audio snob, because my background came from like music and all of that.
I mean, if you guys didn't know that, I mean, look at his lovely wooden background. Like,
yeah. Oh my God, I can talk about this. This is acoustic back. It's got acoustic like backing, so it's actually sound treating.
I've blurred out my background because I've realised it was super messy on the first couple of episodes we've done. You're just like, so look at my acoustic paneling, bitches.
It's currently leaning against the wall, though. I haven't put it up yet. It's just the framing
was there.
The illusion is there. No, so I was always against USB microphones because I didn't think they ever had the audio fidelity and quality that an XLR microphone was. And for a long time, I think that was the case. However, do you remember I was going back and forth from a girlfriend at the time. I'm not with that person anymore, but I was going across the country, and I was doing like very remote setups. I was on my laptop a lot of the time. I was actually running streams for Paradox at one point from a laptop and just like the most janky setup in someone's living room. But for that time, I used their Blue Yeti, and I was very impressed by it. So yeah, it's one of those things of, okay, I see.
Thing is, like, looking back, and again, like watching that old video, actually listening to the quality now, I mean, there are some headset mics for sure that are utter trash, and it's like a universal thing with headsets that remains like inconsistently, like some just hit the mark and they actually make something fairly clear and crisp. Like the biggest thing you'll find is that quite a lot of headsets now, like especially like gaming headsets, get the vocals really nice and clear, but you get either a tinniness to it because they have no bass to them, or they go over heavy with the bass and it becomes muddy and kind of a bit fuzzy. Unless you go to like a proper studio broadcast level headset, which I know that the likes of Paradox quite like using in some of their, or have done in the past in their production pieces. I had one of those. I used one for about 2 or 3 years, and then realized that while the microphone was phenomenal, you don't have to worry about mouse clicks and stuff because the mic is right here. So it doesn't matter even if it's super sensitive, because it probably will be super sensitive because you want really good audio quality. Because it's here, the pickup of anything else, like you rarely needed a noise gate with it because it would just do it itself by the fact that it's positioned right here, and you get such a good kind of natural good pickup because the mic's so close to your face and everything else. But the reason why I moved away from it eventually and moved back to like a proper studio microphone and these is, one, because I like wireless headphones. I like the freedom. But even if I had a wired one, it just means that you can't use a more comfortable pair of headphones, because those XLR ones, they ain't built for comfort. Yeah, they'll put some padding in them, but they're built for sound quality, like delivering through the ear cups to you to hear and also to record off the microphone. And also, to be honest, you're much better off setting up some of these, or what I would probably say to more productions is go for shotgun mics set up above, pointed in, directional, like the one that I have sat in a box that I got as a business expense and plugged it in once in a quick, like, I don't know if you've done this, but I'll be like, oh, I'm going to totally change up my setup, but I don't want to do it properly. I'm just going to mess it around for like half an hour and just be like, nope, that's fine. I'll go back to what works. And I've not gone back to it in about 3 or 4 years. And it's a grand's worth of microphone that I need to use.
I used this microphone for, well, so I'm a bit of a technophile. I'm one of those guys with a lot of gear just because I go, oh, new toy.
What do you think's in all the forbidden blurred drawers?
And it's been very dangerous. The fact that now with client work that I've done, it's like, oh, I can go and get an 1,000-pound camera, which again, to just answer the question in a really quick way, because this whole episode is we're going to be rambling about those. I think what you have is enough to start. However, because microphone headsets can be things, I think the key things to focus on are sound is very important. I think it's more important than visual these days. And I have a suggestion, which
as long as you're not filming your screen.
Yeah, yeah.
I had someone recently message me, and they were getting started, and they had the best. They had they hadn't invested lots of money, but they clearly tweaked some stuff in settings and everything else. They made themselves sound really good. And then they'd set up like their camera on a tripod pointing at their screen. Now, I know that is just comes down to probably lack of knowledge, not knowing that the software is out there now. It's free, accessible, spending some time on some YouTube videos, working out the settings. Or maybe they tried that, felt overwhelmed, and they're like, you know what, I'm just going to point the camera at it. Please don't do that, because yes, you have probably got audio quality better than 95% of starting out like content channels, especially if you're like doing gaming content, like whatever. But like that visual, like it needs to be a direct screen cap. Like when you were saying that question was saying like might have to lower settings. I started off running on like low medium settings for stuff because my computer at the time couldn't handle it. I've only been able to afford the luxury of ultra settings now as my channel went on, earned me some money, and I invested into my PC to play these games at high settings and to record them. Because that's the thing as well. Not only do you need a PC to be able to record, if you want to aim for ultra settings, you need a PC that's strong enough to run it at ultra. Essentially, you need to think about trying to run it almost like 2 instances of the game at once. Because okay, you're not quite doing that in terms of how the resources are divided up on your computer, but in a very basic kind of wrong explanation of it, yeah, that's what you're doing. You're trying to run almost 2 instances of the game. You don't need the full resources of 2 instances, but like everyone always goes to me when you get like a new upgrade or something like that. They're like, oh, so how does that game run? What's the benchmark? And I'm like, well, there's no point me showing it to you on stream because I'm streaming it to you, which is taking up like 40% resources of my PC. The FPS is, if I showed you a benchmark right now, you'd be like, oh god, that new card's terrible. You're getting like 5 FPS more than you before. I thought this one was meant to have 50. And I'm like, it will do if I hit end stream and you guys don't see it.
Yeah, exactly. But,
yeah, as you say, audio super important. I wouldn't worry too much about like room treatment to start with. No. Just get either.
You don't need any of this. You don't need this.
No,
I barely don't.
Fancy bollocks.
I barely need this. I'm just, like I said,
it looks lovely though.
I'm very materialistic.
I want to touch it.
Oh, this whole room smells of walnut now. Is the best bit. Like for the last 2-3 days, this has just smelt like.
I told you to stop doing that with the walnuts.
Yeah, it's
it's
now my nut wall.
Oh no! Remember, Upload Podcast is the podcast where we unload onto. Wait, no. Well, quite literally, that's his unload wall.
I just get that. Oh,
I feel like we need to do a jingle version of that.
Just so
reeling it back into the question.
Yeah, just reeling noise. So just going back to some things where you said the headset, the thing. So when I started content creation, because I wanted to, and I with how I came at the genre, is like I originally wanted to start it as a thing of practicing for doing voice work for acting, because I had an acting background and I have a music background. So I bought an £80 Gear for Music mixer. It had 4 inputs. Excellent thing. I used that for years. They stopped making it, but it was like one of the It was just an XLR input mixer, fantastic. It also did phantom power. It was just like, didn't need any of those Focusrite or any of those audio interfaces. That's something we can cover at some point.
Also, if you've only understood about 3 or 4 words, the keywords you just mentioned there about phantom power, mixers and stuff, don't worry, it's okay.
We will do. We should do
we'll
an
do
audio
a full breakdown.
I've got so many mics and audio things, and we can show and tell and talk about like the different types.
I'll show you my mixer.
Well, you show me those sliders. And then I had a unbranded 20-pound condenser mic that I had from Amazon. I think it was called. The mixer was a brand called Sub-Zero. All of this is essentially all off-brand stuff. And then I just tweaked to my...
Everything's Mortal Kombat characters.
Yeah, it was Sub-Zero, and I think the brand was like Frost Sound microphone. It's like I've still
Extra
got that
crispy
microphone somewhere, and it probably sounds decent still. But that's the thing, because it was because I knew that I needed a condenser for the way that I wanted to approach the sound, and then I just audio edited stuff in Audition. Not even Audition, it was Audacity at the time, which is again free software. Look into it. And then if we're going to headsets, like just to talk about mics, this is the one I'm wearing, which is the SteelSeries Artist Nova 7. I got this from SteelSeries via a client that I don't work with anymore. They've never directly sponsored me, so I'm happy to talk shit about it. I love this headset for its range and its battery life. The microphone on it is less than to be desired. The one benefit of this headset is I can have it connected to my PC and my phone at the same time, so I can like take those. But if you've got a headset that has an amazing mic that's wireless, I will say my Corsair HS80 that I originally got one of these from Paradox. So this one, again, client, but not sponsored. The microphone on this is stupidly good. Yeah, I'm a sucker for free shit. I'll take
free gear is
free
great.
Stuff. Free gear is great because as well, it now means I can review these in the capacity. The audio on these is bassy as heck. However, the range is limited. Like these, I can walk downstairs to the kitchen, make a cup of tea, come back, and I've still heard everything. These cut out at the bottom of the stairs. Like, so it's, and the battery life isn't as good.
The SteelSeries. I mean, this is the older generation. This is their Arctis Pro wireless, which the one thing I love is the removable, but I honestly don't know why no others have copied this, because in the dock you get a spare battery and you just flip the battery out, pop it in the dock, take the other one out, pop it in.
Amazing.
Because all other wireless headsets are actually a lie. Because unless they have a system like this where you can swap the battery out, you have to plug in at some point, or you have to sit it on a stand to recharge it, or to keep using it once it's run out of battery, you have to plug in. These, you're without sound, without power to them for all of 5 seconds, and then you're back wireless again. And I don't understand why no one else has gone, that's a really good, and unless they've got like a patent on it that somehow is like the best patent in the world that stops any other headset having a removable battery like that, which maybe they do.
Well, because I've got SteelSeries and I don't have it.
Well, those don't, but their new Nova like Prime Pro, whatever their top ones that replace this, that are now like nearly 300, 400 pounds or something like that. The mics on them as well, I should say, the mic on this is actually pretty decent. It's clear, crisp, and incredibly tinny, which means there's no bass, but that's how they've made it so clear and crisp. They released some microphones recently, their Sonar range of microphones.
Yeah, I looked at those and I was like, I want to review them.
The software seems either really hit or miss, but the actual capsules in them themselves seem to be pretty decent. But to probably come back and help the person that asked the question, like, again, we started talking about mix and everything else, but we both started off with like headset mics. I used a Plantronics. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but it was like a little flip down thing. The thing is, now there is so much more you can do in software that just didn't exist for us back then. And I think as well, the reason why things like the Blue Yeti, okay, it's kind of a little bit memey within the creator space, like everyone's had one. The reason why it was so good is that, yes, it's a hypersensitive condenser microphone. It picks up everything, but that is also really useful because it means with the right series of settings, you can tailor that sound however you want it. And you'll be surprised, especially when you're uploading content to YouTube, which has a good audio encoder and codecs and stuff, but we're not talking broadcast or full-on studio. So ultimately, like, it gets to a point where, yes, you can tell the difference when we've both got Shure SM7Bs or variants of, and they add more bass, and you can tell the EQ stuff. A lot of that, though, realistically, is the settings that we've applied, the EQ profiles we've done, the way we've set up our compressors and noise gates.
The people that are really like into their audio will notice that in every episode of the podcast that we've recorded thus far, which will be episode like 1, 3, and 5, if you're following them in the time chronologically that we've recorded them order, my audio settings for my microphone have changed every episode because I am still playing around with this microphone, even though I've had it for a while, because I'm so used to the EQ that I was using with the Go XLR. Using it on the Procaster is there's built-in preamps in the Procaster, but I'm using those plus the preamp in the microphone because it's the DB. Anyway, I have an answer that I'm going to give for this, what minimum equipment, that I think just goes more with how content creation has evolved recently. And my answer is, those things are good, but have you considered your mobile phone? A lot of content creation these days, TikTok, etc., is in mobile phones. Mobile phone providers, if you have an up-to-date smartphone, have put tools on there to help you create content. The video quality on a mobile phone is better than most webcams you can get these days. The audio quality on the microphone on a phone is far better, and the noise cancellation on a phone is far better than a lot of probably entry-level headsets.
Because they've been developing that tech for years to give you better communication calls. So that also is readily available for content creation.
I would argue that in this day and age, it is better to start out with a phone than, say, buying a webcam, than buying, even sometimes I would even say you could stream with a setup these days with a laptop and a phone on a mount, and that phone plugged in with a battery and stuff, with the right software, because there is software that allows you to, I think Elgato has a piece of software for it. I think Stream Elements also have it, to turn your phone into a browser source for your streaming. Like, if you want to create content, most phones these days have a 4K camera in it. For example, Riverside is the program we use for this podcast. It actually suggests to people that it might be better to connect to Riverside with your phone, because you'll be giving people a higher camera quality. It's in your pocket most of the time. Now, not everyone in this day and age has a smartphone, I will say, or the most recent smartphone. But I would also argue that compared to some of the webcams that I've used in my day, and what the webcams that we probably started with, even an iPhone 3G going back to 2008 would be a better camera quality, because the other aspect is the camera recording quality on those phones is set for, video rather than webcams are just meant to, they capture. It's only in recent years with, say, OBS cam and the Logitech, the new Logitech ones.
They've started partnering with stuff like Sony for proper lenses and focal apertures and everything else. They've suddenly gone, we could just essentially stick like a bit of glass in front of this camera and that'll work, right? Or we could put a proper lens on it, or build some of that lens tech into it. And suddenly, wow, the improvement that you're able to then get is phenomenal.
Also, if you need like wireless headsets and stuff, if you've got a modern phone, there's considering if you're on a phone contract these days. I'm going off of British knowledge here. For example, with my phone, I have a Google Pixel 8 Pro. Amazing camera, amazing, all of that. But I got a watch with it. Most iPhones these days get those Apple earbuds, which
I got Galaxy Buds with my phone.
That would be
They're perfectly fine.
Probably have a better microphone than most starting pieces of equipment.
Yeah, again, especially with the whole noise cancellation tech they're putting in those little ones, they're really good. Your only limitation there is just making sure they're charged.
That and file limits on your phone, because obviously it will go onto internal storage. But if you're doing edited content, for example, you just record when you need to, make sure it goes together. If you're doing streamed content, like I said, you just put a phone, like a stand to put your phone on, is one of the cheapest pieces of gear you could get.
I bought one the other week for £10 off Amazon.
Yeah,
like a little gimbal to sit on a tripod mount clip.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
Happy days.
I would also give them away for free with mounts these days. It's have a phone grip.
A little side bit of when you're saying start out with your phone as well. Existing creators, if you're not already setting up your phone to be recording or streaming to another platform, again, we probably talked about this, or maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. Don't know where the order yet. But if you're not already just having your phone set up to the side within your setup, you can, something actually I want to try out at some point is when I go live on Twitch, not because there's ways you could be vertical and send something, but actually what I'm thinking is almost have like a behind the scenes stream on my phone set up just below my main camera, because I've actually realized, this is really unintentional, but I have the perfect gap for my phone between my two monitors where I have my camera aimed at, that it could sit aimed at me. And again, because phone cameras have come along so much, the front facing camera is still like a 4K 60 FPS one anyway. So I can use that for great quality on me here, but incorporate your phone into your setup, just plug it in and have that running on like TikTok or just recording the whole thing for some short creation of just reactions of your face, or even just to take that element of your face to then put into your content as another bit. It doesn't hurt, because at the end of the day, if you don't use it, you can delete it. But you've got all these bits of tech options, like take advantage of what you've readily got available around you. And I think that's probably the crux of, yes, the worst thing you can do with starting content creation is not starting. No one's going to have that perfect first video. Find out what does or doesn't work with your existing setup first, and then go through the process of seeing, okay, have I hit my hardware limitations with what I've got, and then I might need to consider upgrading, or can I, with some software or just some different configurations of what I've got, plug and trial and error your way through to set some things up. But I guess coming back to it is, there is an amazing amount you can do with software these days, even with hardware that is 10, 50. I mean, the Shure SM that we're using here, Michael Jackson recorded with one of these. It's been around for decades now, and they haven't changed it. I mean, other than the one you've got adding in a preamp to it, the core capsule has stayed the same, because it's how we now utilize the hardware with better software and better encoding processes and plugins and everything else that can change the very sounds of it. You can. The thing is, as well, I could set up some settings on this and it would sound worse than a Blue Yeti. It would kill my soul to do it, but you can do it.
I've made this sound awful, and that's why I said, like, I've been testing, and then you finally get the thing. You've got to find the balance.
And then, night and day difference, you can make it sound like you're in or as close to in a professional studio environment. Yeah, it always amazes me.
You don't need any of this. You do not need any of this. No. At least not these two. This one's a little bit balked right now, so I might, like, as a joke.
But you don't need to go. If you do need upgrades, you don't necessarily. There's some cheap and cheerful USB mics out there. Obviously, like, Blue's now owned by Logitech, so there's that whole ecosystem to potentially consider. Elgato, their wave mics, they are a bit more, like most things Elgato are a little bit more premium, but the software that supports them, I've got a Wave 3 that my brother has stolen, but when I was between houses and I needed a recording setup at the house where my internet wasn't working and a streaming setup at my mum's house to stream from, because I'd just taken on a new sponsor and I was like, they're expecting me to stream 3 or 4 times a week and I right now can only record locally. That's no good. So I bought essentially another round of audio gear, and I was like, I'm going to go for this Elgato thing because it looks really good. It's nice and easy. It's USB. I can plug it straight in and you've got all the options there, and it sounds really, really good. Like, you can do so much with USB before you even need to break into this world of XLR and mixers. That might be the route for you if you're looking to do more advanced setups. But to start with, there's so many great options, like Audio Technica as well. They have some really decent USB mics as well. Audio Technica, actually, I would say, are probably one of the few almost like pro audio brands out there that actually offer some of their lower end stuff in either a USB connection format or XLR, and it's essentially the same.
Rode have just launched one as well, haven't they?
There's so many in that space.
They're slowly, all the old audio companies are going,
we can get loads of new customers in the door, and then not like then get them addicted to our full product line, but with so many people wanting to create some kind of content, if you don't have those entry level beginner setup products, no way are you gonna they are making probably so much more money now because they are able to funnel creators in from, hobbyists and little, filmmakers. Then they turn into, I don't know, you turn into a little bit of a videographer, you start doing some wedding stuff or whatever. Then I don't know, you end up working with a production company for some bits. Then you and you
then
build
you start
up
spending thousands of pounds on Lumix
and then
cameras.
you have a problem
it's to go back onto this, I started content creating. I think I've always had more peripheral gear for my content creation than the computer I made the content on. It was 2022 when I upgraded my GPU for the first time.
You telling me about. You were messaging me, I think, about ones that you were getting. I think.
Yes, I think
we
so
had a chat
too.
about what you were going to upgrade to.
So in 2015, when I first started content creating in 2015, I bought a 980 Ti for my PC, which was pretty good at the time. For 2015, that was pretty good.
That was like the hot card.
Yeah, it was a very hot card. It didn't work for a while, but I may have broke the first one, and this was a replacement. It's university. You do things, and I bought that not for content creation, but because I wanted to play Fallout 4, and boy was I disappointed.
I don't want to know what you were doing with GPUs at uni, mate.
Look,
that's a weird drinking game.
But I was using that PC, and it had a i5 Sandy Bridge CPU. It was the jankest PC of just. I was buying RAM from CEX, and I refuse to call it sex. I was buying secondhand RAM, RAM that just doesn't, not the same kit.
Mismatched.
You
filthy bastard.
Yeah, exactly. And I ran that 980 Ti until 2 years ago at this point. As I took it out of my PC, one of the fan blades fell off. I shit you
it's
not.
Okay now, you're going to the farm upstate.
She's in that cupboard above me, in my cupboard of my tut cupboard.
Cupboard.
She's in tut cupboard.
Tut cupboard.
Tut cupboard, and I put her in the 3090, the replacement box, because it had all the cushioning and stuff.
Insult to injury. Here is your replacement coffin. Your replacement's coffin. In you go.
I definitely don't have the box. It's quiet. She can rest now. But within a month, I was like, do you reckon I could make all my old PC parts into a render rig and force you out of retirement card? But I ran that into the ground, that GPU, because I was doing, because I think I was telling you about it. It's I was doing
crypto mining GPUs. It's had a worse life than crypto mining GPUs at this point.
Oh, probably, because I was running 3 screens. I was streaming from
Your
every
GPU
day.
wishes it could have been in the mines getting Bitcoin.
Absolutely, because I was doing After Effects renders. I was doing the CPU and GPU load that I put on a PC on the daily, on the regular, is agonizing. It's what I'm going for here is I had that for the vast majority of my life as a content creator. Now, again, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because whilst I've been successful, I haven't been as successful in content creation. Is what I've adapted from it, and what I've learned from content creation, I think, is where I've succeeded. I was using essentially, what can I get at this moment for a long time? And I think that's kind of the biggest element, when you're starting out as a content creator, is how much am I willing to invest, knowing that I will probably never see this money, because I will never see this again. What else will I be using this for? Well, the GPU back in there was...
It's a higher risk than stocks and shares. The moment commit to, if you're spending it, it's you're not getting it back, and then it's a happy surprise if you do get it back.
Exactly. And then it's one of those things of, okay, what can I do with what I've got? We've mentioned phones. I actually have my old phone. And currently the only thing my old phone, and it's good, it's a Google Pixel 6 Pro. So it's not even that old. What you said about having it set up, I've been meaning to do that for ages. I might try and do that in the intervening week.
We should take our own advice.
I'm going to take your advice and actually set it up. Because the only thing, this smartphone that as a kid I would have loved to be able to content create with, the only thing it's doing right now is controlling the lights in my room. It is a glorified remote control, and this thing has a 4K camera in it. And I've just, as you think, I looked over onto the floor and saw it charging, and was like, underutilizing. Maybe I've done goofed here. And I do things of, for example, I bought a camera because I was doing some client work where we did a documentary, and I wanted a camera, and it was I've been looking at a camera for ages. I knew we were getting this camera, so it was also for training purposes. I knew that having 2 cameras on site was going to be better. So I have here a Lumix S5 II. This is a camera that shoots in 6K open gate. Now, to everyone else knows, that is a word that I have no idea.
Shiny.
You have no, it's a big, shiny, thousands of pound camera. It is currently stood on a $9.99 Amazon Basic stand.
I've got that same one. Yeah. Cheap and cheerful.
And to make it worth it, I tried to use it to record YouTube Shorts. You don't need this. This was my editor Dan's like baby for when we were doing the shoot. We shot an entire documentary on it, and it like the documentary looks good. I would love to just ram off on 6K open gate. There's some great videos by Harris Heller, who is, again, if you want to get into content creation, binge his stuff. If we ever have the ability to get him on the podcast, I will just be like,
we can't afford him.
Oh, YouTube daddy, please teach me your ways. Because the man has my dream life. But he's also so smart and so intelligent, but also as a content creator has had his own journey of, I had it really successful and then I didn't. And now I'm still successful where I make a living, but I'm not millions of subscribers, but I'm going to use my time to teach you. You know,
he's done that whole pivot from just being an on-camera streamer
He started music on Vine.
Yeah.
That's what his big thing. Him and his wife were musicians on Vine. And then he went to Twitch gaming. And then now he's pivoted into like essentially tech and content creator lifestyle. It's not lifestyle, but
and I think a lot of providing a lot of great free tools for other streamers. Like his whole Streambeat stuff. I use that for when I'm doing like my model painting Warhammer mini streams. I just whack one of his playlists up on Spotify because they're all royalty free and they're all readily accessible. And his website, I think he's redoing it at the moment, but if you redirect to it right now, you can just download all the raw audio. He just gives them all out. And most of his videos where he's talking through a process, he'll either provide like a template or a clear tutorial for you to go through. Like insane amount of like free, amazing stuff there to learn. And that's probably the biggest thing as well. YouTube as a resource, because I think the kind of the message would be like, if you've got a question about something in terms of how to set up something for content creation or a stream, there's probably a YouTube video telling you how to do it.
No, there's probably about 30 and only one of them will have the answer, and good luck finding them. But I would say Harris Heller's stuff is a good place to start from. Here's actually a free piece of thing for you. I don't know if you...
Although I want to say thank you to you for your... Adobe Premiere Captions tutorial video, because I used that for some client work actually with
Nice.
With Holy.
Nice. Fantastic.
They got me to do some little promotional ads to run on their Facebook and stuff, and I was like, they need it with captions. And I was like, shit, I've never done captions before. How do I was like, I'm pretty sure across my feed I saw a video with a Midgeman face on it that was talking about some captions. I went and found it, watched it. He was straight to the point. Easy to follow.
60-second tutorial.
Yeah, it was. I genuinely might have to hit you up about how to do something in Premiere later, because I've got to tell my wife how to do it on one of my Baldur's Gate 3 edits. I've got to hide some nipples. Okay, the nudity filter that I have enabled in the game settings for Twitch failed, and there was some full-on boobies during the stream, Twitch is probably okay with it. YouTube will not be so understanding when it goes up there, so we need to hide it with a picture of my face across each nipple, and I need to know how to track it across the nip when it moves.
I would normally
do you know how to track nipples?
I would normally do After Effects for tracking.
Because that'll blow my mind.
It will, because it's also all automatic there. But,
you can just follow the nip.
You just basically. We'll talk about that later. But I've just sent you I've sent you a link to a thing, which is I got this from.
It gets all of them.
Yeah, okay, so just because I've blown Lion's mind, I'm going to give this to Dan to share as well into the thing. This is Stream Chat by Colin Horn.
Someone did it.
Colin Horn works for Atom, which is part owned by Harris Heller now.
Oh, amazing. Yes, I saw that he'd got in on that.
Smart move. He's
lad.
Such a smart man.
Smart lad.
But Colin Horn is one of the developers of Atom, just went, hey, here is a free website that you can use to connect all of your content through. So if you open the cogwheel here, it like essentially goes. So it's all your chats. You basically put your username in it or direct pull. And if you're logged in on the same browser, you can actually type from it. YouTube, you just put the live URL and you can change which one, like where they are in the list. So that's TikTok, Twitch, YouTube and Kick. Nobody had done this outside of Streamlabs, and I have a personal hatred for Streamlabs that I will also talk about because they're business practices. Unless you're Lionheart, because he has very specific reasons where I let him off using Streamlabs OBS.
Because OBS doesn't work.
do not use Streamlabs OBS because there's a lot of things that company both does to creators where they kind of steal stuff, but also, for example, the whole system will use about 20% more of your CPU because for whatever reason, they force you to have their storefront constantly open. And if you are just starting as a content creator, or if you're like, for example, you don't have the best internet in the world, which I think a lot of people don't, like in America, like download speeds are like, it's like monopolized in certain parts of America. I know in the UK, you're beholden to Virgin Media if you want good internet, essentially, unless you go bespoke, or maybe you might be lucky and your area might have city fiber, but there's so many things that restrict content creation. You shouldn't add another level to it. However, if Streamlabs do want to like change those things, I would be open to re-reviewing it and look at. There are some very good elements about their stuff.
I think their CPU usage is better now. Like I don't notice it being really any more than regular one until you start adding plugins in. I'm just like, if I could get regular OBS to work again, because I've flip-flopped between the two over the years, and it's come down to I need to use something that just works and doesn't require me to spend 2 or 3 hours every single time I want to create content troubleshooting. I will actually also say as well, some issues I've had recently with Streamlabs, I will say their support team on Discord is really, really good. Like I can message them straight away. And like I thought I was going to get like the generic, like, have you tried turning it on and off again? Blah, 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 blah. You can send them a direct diagnostic report of your Streamlabs software, because it creates a separate token, so they get a full report of it, so they can see everything that's going wrong with plugins or settings and things like that. The issue I flagged with them recently, they were like, yeah, we've actually got this flagged as a known issue. We've checked in with the team. It's on their list of things to fix. We don't have an ETA on when it's being fixed yet, but it's on the roadmap to be fixed. They're looking into it. I would like to think, I haven't like really dived into it much since the big problems they had with OBS and what they were calling it and everything else, and essentially not properly crediting the groundwork that OBS had laid for them. It does seem like, at least, I mean, and again, probably reflective of many companies, it does seem like the boots on the ground and probably the core devs are actually, they're a really solid team. And I think certainly what they're trying to do is really just provide a option for creators to create the best possible content they can. How that's then reflected at a leadership or a management level is probably quite different. I will say
ease of use, it is one of the better broadcasting softwares out there, 100%. That's why I used it back in the day as well. But for me personally, when they released a product that was originally free by a different creator that they did a paid version of, and they physically stole that person's web page for their storefront, I was like, okay, there is some decision making going on that is just not okay for me right now. But yeah, I'm sure like there are a lot of people that,
because they're now actually owned by Logitech.
Oh,
I think.
Are they now? Okay, I wonder if this was pre or post that.
I want to say Logitech bought them, because I think a lot of things have started changing since.
If so, then I will go back and give it a go, maybe, and maybe I'll do an updated review.
2019, Logitech agrees to acquire Streamlabs.
Interesting.
So $89 million. I mean, to be fair, insane hustle turning an open source software into they do provide a lot of other things that you can do alternatively elsewhere. I think their thing, Streamlabs thing, is that everything is all in one and it's there. You don't need to go looking.
Logitech,
you can do it all together.
So they've bought Streamlabs and they bought
basically
Blue.
But they're trying to rival and smash Elgato is what they're trying to do, because Corsair bought Elgato, and you've got that link because Corsair have got all the kind of gaming like tech hardware headsets and stuff, and obviously Elgato was like, well, we have these bespoke audio products that absolutely kick your ass, your headsets suck compared to the microphone we've got here and everything else, let's integrate those systems together. Logitech are now tried to do that with Blue, and they've gone a step further, I would say, with Streamlabs. I will be very surprised, actually, if we don't see in the next few years Elgato, either they're like and Streamlabs now as well are like a gold tier sponsor of OBS in terms of helping fund its development, because it's beneficial to Streamlabs now to finance the development of the open source framework that they use for everything they do. Yeah, they have their own development team which do their own stuff because they need to, because the things they do are slightly different to the way OBS does it and what have you. Ultimately, I think where they're at now is probably a good space for all creators, whether or not you use Streamlabs OBS, because whatever they're doing, if there's a good idea that they work on, it can be adjusted, either made better or improved or whatever in regular OBS. And likewise, like they can both pick and choose features that work well in one and try and adapt and change and integrate in their own. But I do think that right now we've got Logitech and we've got Corsair essentially
it's such an
battling it out,
battle,
acquiring other brands and products to be the go-to all-in-one encompassing ecosystem of, you buy our headsets, you buy our hardware, you use our software to stream, to create content all in one.
There is a third contender to this, I would say, and that is Rode. And I'm so excited to see what they do. Of course, they haven't gone like cameras or anything, but they've just launched their creator line. Also, so have Mackie, who make a Mackie mixing desk for anyone who's a musician or a band. They will know that Mackie is good audio. I actually bought the first iterate before I had this Procaster. For 2 weeks, I had the Mackie DLZ Create. Fantastic mix of beautiful preamps, awful integration with a computer. I had to get rid of it right away, because the virtual audio, this has been changed now. They've added software now, so this is not the same as it was. They've actually fixed the problem that I had with it, but essentially all of the virtual audio cable lines from it formed into one way. I couldn't put computer sounds onto the desk.
I think that's where these premium pro audio brands are now. They're struggling at the moment, but that's where they will develop, because they've got the hardware and they're leagues above the competition, but they have no software sense or understanding about how to make them accessible to plug in to a standard computer. If you're plugging into a top end audio mixing desk, yeah, because you're plugging it into something specialized and you've got like 20 different inputs all going in. But if you're like, we need to condense this and somehow have it work off a single USB line, they're like, or we're like, we need you to redesign your UI and your software to be accessible. Okay, you can have advanced options, but we need it to be accessible first. They're like, no, we can only make it look like a futuristic space fighter pilot dashboard. That's all we can do. We can't do simple. We can only do a million sliders and buttons and dials that make no sense.
They clearly went, we need to be in this market where all these other brands are going, and then they went and just didn't consult a content creator.
Or they just panicked, or they just screamed at it till it worked.
They didn't consult a content creator, because I was not the only person that, because I put the feedback of why I'm like, because I'm returning it and said like, here's the things, this is what I actually went, hey, this is what, and I'm sure other people did like, similar, because they then went, cool, we'll roll out some firmware in 6 months and fix that. Sorry. We didn't realize you need to be able to control the rest of the computer. We didn't realize that all of our settings would then override everything else you want to do. So you'd have fantastic audio, but you wouldn't be able to hear the game anymore.
It's a really exciting time, though, to be a creator that likes their tech, because there are so many more like companies coming into the space and realizing this is a space that, I mean, because they're not, in no way possible, they're not coming to the space thinking, oh, we can make creators' lives better. They're like, oh, we can make a shit ton of money by being in this space. And ultimately, capitalism way, but ultimately it gives creators more options and more tools to use, which over time, if we send in those return reviews, they will eventually get to the point where they are then offering the software to it. But yeah, I mean, getting started, use what you've got, look into the software, because you'll be like, I mean, we didn't have that option. We had look into the software, but there is only one bit of software. It's called Fraps. You have to pay I paid a license for it. That was my initial outlay, the license for either Fraps or Bandicam that we use to capture our screens. And then we made do with the headset microphones and everything else that we had. But yeah, start with what you've got. Try and, utilize your existing setup, lowering settings, adjusting bits and pieces to start with, you'll be surprised at how much you can get out of what you've got now, especially because things are so much more optimized now than even if your laptop, you say, like, even if your laptop's like 5-10 years old, you'll be surprised at what you can still do on that because the software has evolved to a point where it can better utilize and better resource manage those options. Before you spend anything, like, you know, go live or go create some content first and just see what it looks like. From the guy that used Live Movie Maker for about 5 years longer than he should have done.
God, that shocks me.
Use all the free stuff that you can. And then when it comes to it, again, I would probably say you don't need to jump straight into XLR audio equipment, especially now with the likes of Elgato and you know, Corsair, Logitech, whatever. And again, USB mics and audio has come a long way since we first started using it.
If you asked me my opinion on USB microphones 5 years ago, I would have said, never use one again.
Yeah.
And now it's like totally use one.
Do it.
Especially USB-C as well as a interface has just changed the world. And I think that's allowed for a lot. Like you can get higher fidelity microphones sometimes on USB-C than you can XLR because you can get phantom powered mics through USB-C because they can send the power backwards. And also,
this comes from people that have overcomplicated audio setups, both of us. You don't need necessarily to plug in. I see some people with like, they have dedicated mixers, then they have dedicated compressor racks. And I'm looking at it going,
that was me at one point.
You can do all that in software and get a similar effect. Because this dude's just uploading to YouTube. There is going to be no, I see people with these really long, like the full DB racks. They're lovely. But you're dropping like £400-500 on something that actually there's a £200 product or just a bit of software that if you use this USB device, you can get the same thing. Like you're overcomplicating it because the more links in the chain, the more points of failure.
We're slowly running out of time. And I just want to highlight some of the free software and stuff that you can use. So OBS is free. If you've got a SteelSeries headset, like they've got what's it called? SteelSeries GG has an audio mixing software in it now that allows you to do virtual audio cables and stuff. Rode have launched a free what you get with Go XLRs with the routing and stuff. Rode have one that's software only. You don't need any device, called Rode Unify. There's all sorts of things like Audacity if you're doing audio editing.
Yeah. Virtual audio cables itself, or voice meter banana.
Voice meter potato, voice meter light as well.
Check out the voice meter suite. You might need to, it's not the friendliest.
That's not UI, friendly, but it's so good.
You can, if you need to send out or loop some virtual cables, if you've got Elgato stuff, use their Wave software. Like, the number of people that are like, I haven't installed the software. Use the software, it's really powerful. You know what? I know people complain about the price of Elgato, and I will say they're overpriced with a lot of stuff. They make up for it vast majority of the time with the software that comes with it or that you can utilize.
Here's a really interesting one as well that's going to shock people that I'm about to say. Discord. So Discord, make yourself a private Discord server, sit in a call, stream to Discord, because their new clip feature allows you to you can stream in there, you can record in there, you can set up all your game capture, you can use all of their noise gating that is pretty good in Discord, etc. So all of the audio fidelity that Discord has and all of their backend stuff.
It's not free, but if you do use Streamlabs, if you do have Streamlabs, I think it's included in their Ultra subscription thing if you pay for that, which does multi-stream and everything else. If not, you can pay for it separately. I think it's $4.99 a month. It's a site called CrossClip, and it allows you to post in any YouTube video or stream and immediately then turn it into a short or a clip, because it will let you scope in on their web browser into the stream to get the camera in one bit. That's how I've made all my clips and shorts so far, and they've done, like, some of them have done really well out of it, and it's nothing fancy, and it's just a really quick and easy way of doing it. I think they've updated the app on your phone so you can actually edit them on your phone. Speaking of phone apps, Stream Deck has a phone app, so you don't actually need a Stream Deck, for example. If you're on Android, there's loads of free versions of that. iOS, I don't know. I haven't had an iPhone since like 2010. Don't have one anymore. I went Google for a while ago. But so there's so many free things. Actually, something we should possibly do with this podcast when we actually are launched, when we're out there, once we've got a community. Hopefully we've got a community and we're not just talking at cameras for ages. Someone's watching. Hi, hello, my editor. She'll have no idea. She'll be like, "Oh, it's nice. You're doing a little happy video. I keep asking, what's a podcast?" I keep asking the editors, like, "Is it good? Is this actually good?" When they're editing, they're like, "Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it." Is it good? Is it good? Is it fun? Okay. Which one do you like more? You're not just saying this because I pay you, right? Right?
But it's one of those things of, I think one of the things we might try to do, or at least with some of the people we do, if people make a suggestion of software, we like, if we have a Discord or if we have some sort of community hub for this, we put like a reference sheet of like, here's the
top
things,
recommendations of
here's
stuff.
What we have, here's some recommendations.
A content creators free toolkit of stuff to not stuff you have to use, but stuff you can try out, because you might be like, oh, how can I do this? Here's the free software that will do it, or here's the one that costs, $1.99 or something nice, cheap and cheerful. We'll always try and probably find a free alternative, but sometimes there are some bits of software that are worth paying for, and until you work out another way of doing it in your own content production flow, whatever you want to do. There's so many options out there, and the more companies that come into this space to try and make competing software products, websites,
the better it is for you.
You don't care who you use, as long as you can get like, oh, this site lets me do like 10 free shorts. Cool, I'll go use that one. Sweet.
Yeah, Spikes GG is one of those, and they're offering a lot. If you're like a content creator right now, because they're offering massive free trials and stuff, and because they want people to use their software, I think it's like you can do 23 shorts. But also, if you're a Twitch streamer, use the Twitch clip to short production. They've got one. Yeah, there's so many aspects for shorts. One of the things that we're going to be using, we're kind of using it in a way that isn't as simple, but Riverside, which is a product we do pay for.
By how
this product that we're doing with this where we're recording this podcast actually has a clip feature, and it's timestamps and transcodes it, and we're all like just the
and they were good ones as well. They weren't all like irrelevant random things.
The power of AI is going to massively change the creating space, and I definitely feel like that'll be an episode of its own.
Oh god, yeah, AI. There's so much I want to talk about editing and Photoshop bits and stuff. My days.
There's
just to get started on just
I'm going to send you a video as well for Premiere Pro, which is one. Have you seen editing by text in Premiere Pro?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Will it track the nipples?
No, it won't track the nipples. But essentially, put it this way: what you can do is you can set Premiere Pro to automatically transcribe a sequence as you put footage in, right? So that's the thing. But then there's a form of editing format called edit by text. So it takes the transcript, puts it as half the screen, and then as you edit the text or cut things like a Word document, it cuts your timeline.
Wow, that's bonkers. So
people who weren't video editors before can essentially video edit by removing pauses. You can have it show pauses as well. You can use it to, so if you change the words, obviously you can't actually change correct the transcript in this mode. You have to go into a different workspace for that. But if you've got a correct transcript, you can then just go in and go and do your rough cut by essentially editing a Word document. And that's the power of AI being changed into a professional format where it's, controlled and not. There's dangers of AI. There is massive, which is another thing we'll get on. But the fact that it is a tool that has been used to recognize the English language enough to form a transcript that then you can edit and make your edits faster, because it's then got an algorithm on top of it that knows that if I delete this bit of text, I can delete this waveform. And you can even just do it to highlight text. Like if you highlight a text, it will highlight the sequence of where it is. And it's wild. I'll send you a video for after this.
That's insane. Please keep questions coming, because we have made a whole episode out of like one question, but not like that we're like, oh yeah, give us free. But like this was wonderful to like reminisce about some bits, but also hopefully, because I know it's been a ramble, and probably these question ones will be, because there's so many tangents we could go off and so many things that we're desperate to share and get out of our brains. But I guess we'll probably try and maybe do it where we try and both hit it with a short answer to start with, and then we'll be like, and let the rambling flow.
And the ramble flow through you.
Relax the ramble, yes. Gollum needs to make an appearance at some point. Yeah, keep the questions coming, because these are honestly a delight.
Yes,
to answer and to go through the process. And if you have a follow-up, like if there's something you're like, oh, you mentioned it in this one, what do you mean by this? Like throw it in there. Maybe we can do some maybe we can do some rapid fire stuff. Laughs and ramble.
If you have a question that you want us to answer in a long form, hit us up on the email hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk. You can also get in touch with us in the comments, as I've said below, as I said at the top of the episode. But that's unfortunately all we've got time for. So again, thank you so much for listening this episode. This has been Upload, and we will see you next time we upload.
we'll get slightly into the inner workings of my channel here, but I have editors, they'll edit. I will do the more advanced narrative stuff, but then my standard ones. And then I also have what I term consultants that I pay, that are also part of the channel. So they're they do various stuff from moderating these different things. But the point is that I talk to them every Monday. We have a meeting. So when it comes to failures, and this is gonna sound super cheesy, but for me, you can't really fail if you've taken on the data, you've looked at what went wrong, and you're starting to learn from that experience. Because you look at the good stuff from me, okay, I think this is a great video. Why didn't it reach the expectations that I had for it? And then you sit back, you've got a meeting with people that you know well, that have been with you on this journey for a long time, and know these sorts of ins and outs. You pull all the data, and you're like, hey, here's our best guess as to why that happened, now let's go and do it again.